Welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs go all in on their business, and we introduce them to professionals that can help them to do so. Today, we have a very special guest. Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Excellent, excellent. Please introduce yourself and the name of your business.
So my name is Michael Harn. I'm a career ownership coach, and I work with the Entrepreneur's Source.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for coming in today. And we understand that time is one of our most valuable resources. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, I spent 24 years in the wireless industry, and I was laid off 5 times.
Okay.
You know, in wireless, there's a lot of mergers, acquisitions, and there's a lot of things being tossed around, divestitures. So eventually, I've spent the last 10 years with a company that I thought I was going to stay with, and I'd been through 4 layoffs before, and I was like, I finally found my home. And our main customer was having some trouble, and so it reflected onto us, and there were layoffs.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I ended up being laid off for the 5th time, and so then I was searching for what was next, and that's how I ended up here.
Okay, awesome. Now, one of those wireless companies, it wasn't Sprint, was it?
Oh, yes.
It was. Oh, let me tell you, Sprint. I had Sprint was my first carrier. I had them forever. When I say forever, people are like, "Why are you still with them?" And then finally, I guess it has been like 10 years, but I had them for so long. So unfortunately, with that.
Yeah.
Now, with those experiences, what are some of the things that you did while you were with those companies? What were you helping with during that?
So I started right out of college selling cell phones at a Sprint affiliate store in Augusta, Georgia.
That's crazy.
Worked my way through opening a new store in Charleston, getting into marketing with that company here in Atlanta. And another affiliate of Sprint decided to purchase us. They didn't need me in marketing because they had a team that did that already. And so that was my first layoff. And I spent about 5 years with that company. And then I ended up going to work for an OEM, Sanyo, who made phones for Sprint. And since you had Sprint, you probably had a Sanyo.
I'm sure I did.
Yeah. And then that company was purchased by Kyocera. That was the luckiest layoff I'll say I ever had, because I walked through a door and was rehired.
Okay.
So I got lucky in that one. And then in that company, what I was doing was field sales, marketing, training. And I did a lot of presentations around the phones, the features, and everything like that. And we were really talking internally to the Sprint teams and how to best sell our products and position our products.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked my way out of that. Through that last layoff, we made some poor decisions with a product. We put a ton of money into a product that was before its time. Today, you see those 2 screen phones?
Yeah.
We had one way back.
Oh, okay.
Way back.
We just weren't ready for it.
Yeah, it was like a transformer.
Okay.
So it just wasn't ready. So through that, we had to do some layoffs, and I got caught up in that one also. I was about to move to San Diego to be a marketing manager with that company, and so I was getting out of the field sales into marketing again. And the boss of the team was like, "You're the one trying to leave my team, so you're the one that I'm going to cut."
Oh, I get it. Because you were trying to advance yourself.
Yeah. I was already approved to move, and then they had to do freezes and layoffs.
Okay, and then that messed up.
So I've learned to get through these things often.
Yeah, seems you had a lot of resilience in your career. You've had some ups, some downs, some turns arounds. Now, as we talk about the Entrepreneur Source, I always like to ask this question. Was there a specific event that happened that made you say, you know what, I'm going to change direction and move into this field? Did you have a specific event like that?
And what I think you mean is, did I decide to burn the ship?
Yes.
Yes, I love the name of the podcast. Yes. Thanks again for having me here. I can't wait to tell you my story about how I got into the Entrepreneur Source.
Yeah.
Well, after my 5th layoff, I was on LinkedIn, pretty active. Of course, that's what you do. I was putting out my resume, messaging people, working my networks. And I kept writing articles about my story about being laid off. And so I just got really comfortable in sharing my story about what I was doing with my time. Like when I was not looking for a job, what do you do? How do you keep your mindset in the right place? I started writing articles about, do I want to be an entrepreneur or continue to be an employee? And through doing that, someone reached out to me from the Entrepreneur Source, and it was my coach. I decided to work with a coach at Entrepreneur Source, and it was really one of my friends. Well, let me go back to that person who reached out to me, he was talking to me and I was looking at being an entrepreneur, and he showed me a number of businesses. I was looking at probably about 4 at a time, and I would look at 3, look at another one, look at 3, look at another one. And I eventually ended up saying, okay, hey, do you like what you do? Like, you're helping people every day discover what's new for them and kind of like open their mind and get out of their comfort zone. I said, I think I might be good at doing that. And he's like, I should introduce you to our development team. And so I met the development team at Entrepreneur Source, and the person I was working with made me watch a video about your why, like finding your purpose and your why. Mm-hmm. She was like, why would you want to do this? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't know yet.
Yes.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and she says, why don't you write those articles on LinkedIn about your profession? Mm-hmm. Why aren't you writing about marketing, communications, training, all the things that you know? And I said, well, I'm writing about being laid off because I seem to know how to navigate that.
Yes.
I said, I was finding my purpose in sharing my story and writing those articles about becoming an entrepreneur or an employee, or what to do with my time during the layoff. And I went back to that YouTube video that the development team at Entrepreneur Source suggested that I watch about why. And I figured out I'm probably writing these articles because I want to help other people navigate their layoff. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's my why.
Okay.
And that was the moment I said, I need to go all in on becoming a coach to help other people, just like my coach helped me. Break the ice, break the mold. I was a professional. I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur.
Right.
I had that itch. My grandfather said, you're never going to get rich working for someone else. Mm-hmm. And that stuck with me. And so I just never took the leap. And I finally took the leap and bet on myself.
Awesome.
Here I am.
Awesome. Man, that's a magnificent story, because a lot of times entrepreneurs are hesitant to step off of that curb. It definitely takes a lot of gumption to say, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself and go all in on it. So super excited that you made that decision, and we're just eager to learn more about the Entrepreneur Source. So tell us all about it. Tell us what you guys do there, how you're helping people. Just give us the lowdown.
So at the Entrepreneur Source, what I do as a career ownership coach is I help people explore their options around business ownership or not. It's not for everyone. I also help them explore the options to possibly keep their job for a little while or for a long time period, and also do something semi-absentee. So the majority of the options that we have are in the franchise world. And that is a great way for most Americans to get into business for themselves, but not by themselves, because they get a ton of support. A lot of Americans don't have a product, service, or idea to pull out of their back pocket and launch. It also takes a lot of funding to launch a product from the ground up and start your own business. In franchising, you get to share those resources, those things that someone else has already launched. You get to open that playbook and run it just like they've designed it. And the system actually is an acronym for Save Yourself Significant Time, Energy, and Money.
Okay.
So if you follow the system in a franchise, you could save yourself significant time, energy, and money.
Man, that's an awesome acronym there. I have known about systems, and I know how important they are to have in place, but I didn't know that it meant that. So that's a gem there. I definitely appreciate you sharing that. I definitely. So as you are getting into the Entrepreneur Source, you guys are trying to figure out how to help those budding entrepreneurs go forth. Is it one where I have to take an assessment, or you just have a discovery call with me? Tell us how that process works.
Sure. So our process starts with a DISC assessment.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have an initial call, but I don't count that one. The first major call starts with a DISC assessment, and I send it to them after our initial call and tell them to take the test. It's less than 10 minutes. It's very easy. You're just ranking phrases, and it tells us about characteristics and behaviors. It's not a personality test. Mm-hmm. And then that's how we kind of break the ice, because that gets them to start talking about, on our very next call, all of those things that they learned about their characteristics and behaviors, how other people see them in some cases, and how they see themselves. So I like to learn where people are coming from and their self-assessment.
Yeah.
And we also have a goal-setting sheet that I send to them on this first first session also. The goal setting sheet is called the U 2.0. It's like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh, okay.
I have 60-year-olds taking this "What do you want to be when you grow up" assessment. Yeah, and they all giggle when I say that.
Right.
But it truly is like, if they've never explored this, and it's the very first time, this could be a whole nother 2.0, the next version of their life.
Yes.
So yeah, that worksheet and the DISC assessment is how we get started. We'll eventually get into writing a vision statement for them. I draft it for them. We'll talk about their transferable skills. On some of our future calls, we talk about the areas they have curiosities in. I tell them they don't have to have any experience in these areas that we list. I just want to know if they're curious about them. And curiosity is what will lead you down the path of exploring what's next for you. A lot of people get hung up on, oh, but I don't know anything about this. Well, in franchising, you don't have to. They're going to teach you everything you need to know. You'll hire the person who knows how to do it.
Right.
You are the business owner.
So you just follow the playbook that is written for you. As you have been out and about and you've been come across these particular budding entrepreneurs, have you found like a specific classification of a person that fits that mold of it, or does it just vary all across the board?
So absolutely not.
Okay.
And the DISC assessment, you know, I have people ask me, so what is the appropriate ranking for me to have a franchise? There's not one.
Okay.
There's so many different things you could do as a franchise owner. There's solopreneurship, like something like what I do, where I'm a career ownership coach. I employ a few 1099 employees who help me do business development, but ultimately I'm the only employee in my company.
Okay.
There's other things where if you really want to build an empire and employ a lot of people and give a lot of people opportunity, there's those opportunities. And it takes every type of different personality to do these things. There's some in financial services where I like that analytical person. And then there's some that are like heavy on outside sales, and you really want to be that high D, high I outgoing person.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's not a perfect profile for all of the businesses. Like I said, there's over 200 options for us. There are about 30 plus industries that we work with. So I could find something for anybody to look at. No promises.
Right.
I want you to look at it for yourself, discover, is it right for you?
Yeah, I took one of those deep dive discs about 2 years ago, and I am a high DI.
Yeah.
So I liked the influencer portion of it because I am always talking with the people and trying to be out there and be social. But I do have my sales background, so I do have a little bit of the D part of it, you know, to try to push through things. I asked that question as far as does it seem to matter where you fund, because, you know, also learning those assessments, some people can get trapped in the thinking about it part.
True.
You know,
True.
and I was just wondering if you saw a difference between.
No, that's part of my job, is to kind of keep their mind open and keep them curious.
Okay.
And if they can keep an open mind and be curious about what's next, all you're doing with us in the process is education, awareness, and discovery.
Okay. Now, we are here in Georgia now. Geographically wise, are you bound to anything? You can help people all over the country. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I love helping the Southeast. I have lived in D.C., Charleston, grew up in North Augusta, South Carolina, so the Augusta area, Aiken. I'm now in Atlanta. I've lived in Fort Lauderdale. I love the Southeast, but I can help anyone in the U.S. and Canada.
Okay. That's a good deal. And as far as when we talk about those experiences that you've had, we're in the telecom industry for a long time. Now you are helping those entrepreneurs that are out and about. Do you mind sharing with the audience some of those best practices, those business skills that you have acquired that have helped you to have success in your business that they can possibly use in their mix to help them to be successful?
I'm going to speak specifically to franchising because I am a franchisee of the Entrepreneur Source. And I have found that following the system, which we talked about,
right,
and that is the key to being successful when you're in a franchise or a situation like a franchise, which is where I came from, the mobile world, the telecom. we were a distributor, and we had about 3,000 distribution points, and it was for a national carrier who gave you the guidelines to follow. If you could follow those guidelines, then you could be successful. Same thing with what I'm doing today, same thing with what I help my clients do. Follow the system. There's ways to veer off the system here and there. There's ways that you get some flexibility here and there, especially in local markets. Things work differently in different areas. So you do get flexibility, but for the general purpose, follow the system.
Okay.
And you will be successful.
That makes a lot of sense. I say that same thing. You know, you put together a process. If you redefine and refine that particular process and you get it to a particular point, if you stay there, there's always going to be variations, but it at least gives you an outline of something. Because I have the sales rep here and I tell them, if you don't have a goal, you can't create a path, and you'll never get there, and that is part of the process. As we continue to paint the picture of who you're trying to help and get yourself in front of, do you mind sharing with us one of those engagements that you have had since you've been a coach there that has taken someone from here to there so we can have a pretty good framework of what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just going to think of one of my more recent placements. She was an executive recruiter. She was working for, I don't want to say the name, but a company in a state that decided to bring everyone back into the office.
Okay.
She had already moved remote, and she was going to either have to move back to that state or lose her job. And so she decided to look for a different job. That's when I found her, because she had updated her resume and was open to work on LinkedIn. And so I reached out and we started talking, and she currently is finding a location here in Georgia to open her business. And she's also found another job. She's going to keep her job and do the business semi-absentee on the side. Her husband's helping her, and she's got a lot of support from the franchise. So she's able to keep her job, open the franchise, and she found a better job through all of the work that we did together. Her confidence was built up even more. She's super excited. We keep in touch here and there, and I can't wait to go to her grand opening.
Okay, awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate you sharing that. Now, one of the things that we always like to do is not just find that target client or that ideal client. We like to talk a little bit about referral partners. Like with us, we're helping them with the processing. So CPAs are good referral partners because they're talking to the same decision makers. Web developers are good referral partners. Have you found a industry or a good referral partner that we can connect with you to help you to find these entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so there's executive recruiters. I know they have a purpose and they have a goal to place someone, but when it's not the right fit for that client, they could definitely refer them to me and let me help that person decide, is business ownership a possibility? If not, they can go with the executive recruiter and finish that search. If so, then maybe they could do both.
Okay.
Or if not, if they want to totally leave, W-2 life, they could go into business ownership with me. Another good one maybe be business brokers.
Okay.
People who are looking at purchasing a business. We do have resales, so it's not completely just starting a new franchise. We have plenty of people who have done that, who have built up the equity, are ready to take out, their equity and retire.
Okay.
They don't have maybe kids to give it generationally to someone else, so they didn't build it for generational wealth. They truly are building that business for equity to sell, and they're ready to do that. So I can help clients in that manner too. I do have a few clients who prefer a resale over starting something new.
Yeah, because that way it's already built up and they just got to continue to work the system that's already been in place and put the energy into it instead of trying to build it from the ground up. So that makes
and I'll tell you,
sense.
Some of the best referral partners are the people who did it.
Okay.
For example, the woman I was just speaking about, she's already referred me to another client. Another placement that I had just last quarter has already referred me to 2 other clients.
Okay.
So it's great. People who didn't do it have referring me to, people who enjoyed the process, but just couldn't take the leap for whatever reason or decided not to. They just knew it wasn't the right fit for them. And it's not for everyone. I might have said that already, but it's not for everyone. And that's okay, because I also have other referral partners of my own, like a placement service I can send you to and maybe help you find a higher paying job.
Yeah. That lets us know that you have a good system in place where people decide not to even go with the service or the product and still feel comfortable enough with you to go ahead and send that opportunity to you. Definitely appreciate you sharing that. Now, we understand that you had those years in telecom. Now you are helping those coaches and helping through coaching and getting them placed into those different franchises. And we understand that you're great at that. But we do want the entrepreneurial audience that's watching today to understand that Michael is a human also. So outside of getting people coached up, if time and money is not an issue for you, what is it that you would do with your time?
So time and money, not an issue. I would start a franchise that was all about flying trapeze.
Okay.
I would like to start a flying trapeze school here in Atlanta one day.
Okay.
And then build it to where it could be franchised to give more people the opportunity to experience it.
Okay. Now that's interesting. We got to peel that layer back just a little. Now, how is it that you got into that, or that's what you wanted to do? Have you just always loved the circus, or have you done that before?
So yes, I do flying trapeze, not as a professional. I do it for the fun of it. I'm actually going in a couple weeks.
Oh my goodness.
When I was, 5 or 6, I loved the circus.
Okay.
And the one act that I loved the most was the flying trapeze. And I said, one day I'm going to do that.
All right.
And, I kind of forgot about that and went on about my business. And I tried to run away with the circus. That's a whole nother story. I did my best, but it didn't work out. And I finally went to a Club Med resort.
Okay.
And they had flying trapeze at the resort. And I was like, whoa, they're going to let guests do it?
Yeah.
And yes, they will teach you how to do it. They let you do it. And so now when I vacation at least once a year, it's at a Club Med with a flying trapeze.
Okay.
And so I get to do it. There's one in Dallas when I go back to visit family. There's not one near here, though.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's why I need
you
one.
want to get it doing here. Now, there's a lot of elements that are inside of that. You got the rope. The people will be flying across. What's your favorite part of it?
My favorite part is just flipping around.
Okay.
So jumping off, climbing the ladder is the hardest part. If you are worried about doing it, if you can get up the ladder, you can do flying trapeze.
Okay.
You might do a smaller trick, but I love doing a layout. I'm practicing doing a double back tuck. I can catch the layout. So that means catch the other person.
Yeah.
I've never caught the double back tuck yet.
Okay. Well, you'll keep working on it. You have been successful at all the things that you've touched so far. So I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to catch that double and just have us one in this area, because I've been around the Southeast and I've never even heard of that being an opportunity for a business or thought of it period like that. So it is all about satisfying a need, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that will like that. So thanks for sharing that. Truly appreciate that. Now, we've talked a lot about business, and we've talked about some of those best practices that you have introduced while you're doing your coaching. What is the best way for someone to get in contact with you if they have questions about the coaching that you provide, the franchises and things?
It would be my website or my LinkedIn page. All of my phone number, email, is on all of those websites. So we'll put it in the comments section of the podcast. But ultimately, it's just linkedin.com/Michael Harn or mharn@esourcecoach.com.
Okay.
And you can find all my information there. Schedule a call. Let's have a chat. I'll talk to anybody. Even if you think you don't have the funds to do it, we'll help you figure that out. If you're not sure, don't worry about wasting my time, because you'll learn how I do what I do, and you'll probably know somebody that's good for this and refer them to me.
Okay, awesome. Now, again, we truly do appreciate all of our guests that come on, because sometimes, it can be intimidating, getting in front of the camera, all these lights in studio, and talking about yourself and your business. And we truly do appreciate that. And we always try to honor our guests by giving them the last word. So please take a second, look into your camera over there, and tell the people something good.
So I have this hanging in my office, and I didn't want to mess it up. So I went ahead and took a picture, but it says, "Do not let fear of the unknown rob you of the opportunity to examine what is possible." So definitely reach out and let's talk and let's see what's going on. Another statistic that I pulled from Perplexity right before we came in here was that 96% of people who are currently self-employed have no desire to return to regular jobs. So definitely reach out. Let's just explore what's possible.
Yeah, 96%. That's a high percentage. Once you get in there and see that you can do it yourself, you want to stay on that train.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely appreciate you coming on today, Michael. It's been a wonderful show. Truly do appreciate you sharing with us today.
I appreciate the time. Thanks again.
Yes, of course. And to everyone that is watching, be kind and thanks.